Okay, I think you cannot just give an answer that fits in every context and for every person. So it depends very much who are we talking about. If we think in the cultural competence of an international student, then I would say for sure, in general, you could say the ability to act in an efficient and a successful way in a new context. Okay, and that implies certain skills, like language skills, like but also openness and the ability, the flexibility, the ability also to have a feeling about are we understanding each other or not, and the ability to say, okay, it doesn't matter if I make a mistake, I just speak. So there are so many different skills which you need, but you build them. Yeah, I think for this reason it makes less sense to make a list, because it depends on the context, what skills you need to be successful, to cope in an adequate way. The big key, I think, it's your openness and your ability to reflect and to think, okay, what could I've done different, and also what could have the other person done different, or why do they do like this, and also a certain curiosity, not to get angry, but just like, okay, let's discover this world.
Also, ich komme aus Vietnam, das ist mein Heimatland, und mit der Sprache, Deutsch und Filmsprache, dann bin ich hier in Deutschland gelandet, und nämlich an der Uni Jena. Mit der Sprache kann ich mit den Leuten kommunizieren, mit der Kultur kann ich die Werte oder Einstellungen besser verstehen, damit die Kommunikation besser und Missverständnisse zu vermeiden, zum Beispiel. Sprachlerntipp gibt es so viele, aber ich würde gerne, dass Sie sollten die interkulturelle Kompetenz ausstatten. Das ist sehr wichtig, und wenn Sie noch die Mühe haben, dann sollten Sie mindestens eine andere Sprache, zum Beispiel Deutsch, lernen. Das ist sehr hilfreich, zum Beispiel bei der Reise oder bei der Jobsuche.
So I don't have the experience that in Germany you have to ask for help. I have the experience that people also can help you very much, even if you see that you need. So obviously, if they don't ask you help, then you can ask it. And there's quite a difference of direct communication, which I experience here in general, which is like in Italy, you say, if someone asks you for help, you want to be polite and you say, no, I don't need. And then if you say no, then people doesn't want again to be aufdringlich, and then don't help you because they don't want to. You are responsible, and if you say you don't want to help, then I let you. But then I had to learn to say yes. No, because in Italy you say no, and then the other person go and you say, no, wait, why are you going? So I learned to say yes. At soon. And that is something that you have to learn to ask for help, but also to ask for when you don't understand things. You know, for me it was embarrassing because I thought I wasn't understanding so much German, and they were telling me the address, for example, and then I was like, then maybe I was asking once more, excuse me, and they were repeating that quickly, yeah? And then I felt so bad, and I thought, okay, I just write the sound, I will find my way. But it's actually quite stupid. No? You can say, hey, I don't know so much German, could you say it slowly? No? So I've learned that in the time, but at the beginning we say, yes, 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 and then I didn't understand anything.
We have students, how to say, they feel it unpolite to ask a question to the professor. But if you don't ask, the professor do not know that maybe there was a misunderstanding. So ask the professor, this is welcome. Just being shy and silence means for the professor everything is clear, you understood everything. This might be a misunderstanding, and there's also, how to say, some cultures are often speak in the lecture and just they repeat what the professor says, and they fall in because of in their culture it means listening, having a focus to that, but it might be felt as disturbing by the professor. Asking a question is okay, but talking in between, even if it is related to the topic, might be felt as a disturbing. So these small things, small specialities.
Also ich bin immer davon ausgegangen, dass dass ich natürlich eine Antwort auf meine Frage bekomme, weil man in Deutschland ganz viel über Sprache regelt und man bespricht die Dinge ganz genau und man darf auch ganz ehrlich sagen, wenn man darüber jetzt nicht sprechen möchte, ohne den anderen verletzen zu müssen. Wir sind einfach ganz ehrlich und direkt, lassen Emotionen häufig außen vor und das ist in anderen Ländern halt ganz anders. Ne? Und wenn Deutsche ins Ausland gehen, empfehle ich ihnen immer, ruhiger zu werden, die Dinge zu beobachten, nicht so viel nachzufragen. Und den internationalen Studierenden aus meiner Erfahrung heraus empfehle ich immer das Gegenteil. Hier erlebe ich sie nämlich als sehr zurückhaltend. Und wenn sie einer Situation nicht zurechtkommen, fragen sie häufig eben nicht nach. Und es passiert einfach nichts. Und genau, da rate ich Ihnen immer, nehmt die Dinge in die Hand, fragt nach, werdet selbst aktiv, weil das ist eben die Art und Weise, wie wir hier Dinge regeln und was einfach auch von den internationalen Studierenden erwartet wird.